Hey everyone, I wanted to show you a little bit about Compare for Kentico, part of the Toolkit for Kentico's custom extensions that make working with Kentico easier. Compare is actually a really interesting tool if you're using Kentico with multiple Kentico environments. So you have a dev, a stage, and a production environment, and you're worrying about promoting changes and what's different from one environment to the next. It actually allows you to open up and visually compare two instances right inside of our Toolkit module with Compare and see, is there something different? Do I need to worry about a deployment scenario? Am I going to overwrite something? It's meant to complement the Kentico content staging tools as well as the Kentico continuous integration tools so you can verify and validate that your deployments went correctly and help you deploy more accurately, deploy quicker, and have better results as a development team. And we've worked on Compare for many years now. It supports many versions of Kentico, even the latest, including Kentico MVC. And I thought I would show you a little bit about it today. So I have Kentico Compare installed, and it's in our Toolkit module, and it's kind of up to date. So you can get to it by either from here or going back to the home page and actually clicking the Compare dashboard tile. From there, lets you have projects, and I have one project already set up. Projects are basically the site instance, whether it's dev to stage or stage to production. You can go both directions, which is pretty cool about it. And I'm going to just compare two Dancing Goat starter sites. And when you do that, you have a source and a target, or like a left and a right, so you know what you're comparing. You can see we're looking at the MVC Dancing Goat starter site I have today on the screen, but also another instance that's for a sales demo site. So two sites that have the same exact site in the world, but I want to know if there are things different. And I can look at different Kentico objects. I can look at pages, database objects. I can do files of code. This thing does a whole lot, and some things that Kentico content staging can't do. So when I click Run Compare, because I've already connected these two instances together through a secure connection with an actual username and password to prove that I have the ability to do this, it's reaching out over the internet to both instances. And as long as there's an internet connection, this works. You don't have to worry about VPN or anything like that. As long as the ports are open on the internet, it's looking to the Kentico system, iterating through everything that's there. The files, the code, the database rows, custom views and store procedures that maybe Kentico doesn't even know about in the database. And it's bringing all those things back into this instance. And I'm going to start comparing them almost like you would do a diff tool in source control world. So it's now finished, and it takes some time because there's actually kind of a lot going on. We actually processed 12,000 items in about 40 seconds across the two sites. And it's giving me three sets of results. One that are items that exist in both places that are different. The second group are items that exist in only our source that aren't yet on the other instance. So maybe we have something we need to deploy there. And then lastly, there would be if there's something on the target instance that isn't on the source. And this is good because if we think about this instance as our production instance, we wouldn't want to have something on production that isn't on stage or dev. And really what's the most interesting thing here is the ability for Compare to visually show you these differences. As opposed to just call them out, we can actually look at this first one here. This is a page type that exists in both sites, but it's different. Well, how do we know what's different? And that's where our visual difference comes into play here. We actually can look at these two things. And what we've done at Bitstream is try to capture the fact that we have a different field that's in the target installation. It's called social link icon 2. It only exists on our target, but it's not in our source. So we're calling out that hey, this whole thing is missing from the source fields. And that's pretty cool to be able to see it. Even though it's definitely a little technical, but this is again meant for developers. It calls out the fact that if I push this page type from this instance to my target, I'm going to lose this change. And I wouldn't have known about that if I were just using Kentico content staging. So that's just one of the most powerful aspects of it, is getting visibility into what's different. Again, it helps you be more accurate and save time. And I think that's pretty cool. But say, for instance, I wanted to actually like remove that and actually did want to deploy it. Not only can our tool point out differences, we can actually deploy those differences right from this application and not have to worry about going to somewhere else. So, again, there's another difference right here, that this email template is different across the two installations. So on my source, I actually have a URL here that isn't on production. So if I push this email template, that would be one way to deploy this change from the source to the target. And again, we're visually seeing what the difference is with compare for Kentico. So if I want to do that, I can actually click the box that says include in deployment, close this, and it's the same thing as checking the box here in the grid. And maybe I also want to push out the fact that I've got some macro rules that are in one place or some settings that are in one place that are in the other. I could include those as well in my deployment and click our magic deploy button. What this does is start wrapping up the changes and differences and saying, hey, you're going to push these 3 items from this environment to the next environment. Are you sure you want to do that? And again, you could stop here and you could print a report and use this as a deployment report for when you're going to schedule and do that actual deployment. Or you can actually step through the deployment wizard and there's a 5-step process that says, are you sure you want to do this? Do you have the ability to do it? You can click next. You can prove that you've taken backups and go through it and deploy those changes, and it would actually push the changes from this instance to the next. But that's going to be another video. So again, that's the main value of Compare for Kentico. It allows you to visually see differences across Kentico environments, even allows you to deploy and make those changes happen, and allows you to be confident that when you're making deployments, you're not going to lose anything, break anything, or have things overwritten that you didn't know about that maybe if you just use Kentico content staging, you would. So if you're interested, check out our website, toolkitforkentico.com, and let us know what you think.